What if hundreds of mysterious ships were secretly moving billions of dollars across the oceans every year? What if many of these vessels switched off their tracking systems, changed their names, and disappeared from radar only to reappear carrying Russian oil? And what if this hidden fleet has become one of the most important weapons in Vladimir Putin's economic survival strategy? Despite thousands of Western sanctions, Russia continues earning enormous amounts of money from oil exports. How? The answer lies in a secret network of aging tankers known as the Shadow Fleet, or as some call them, the ghost ships of Russia. The sanctions that were supposed to cripple Russia when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. Western nations launched one of the largest sanctions campaigns in modern history. The United States, European Union, United Kingdom, Canada, and their allies targeted Russian banks, Russian companies, Russian billionaires, Russian energy exports. The biggest target was oil. Why? Because oil and gas generate a massive share of Russia's government revenue. Before sanctions, Russia was one of the world's largest oil exporters, shipping millions of barrels every day. The plan seemed simple: limit Russia's ability to sell oil, and the Kremlin would lose the money needed to fund its economy and military operations. But something unexpected happened. Russia adapted, and the Shadow Fleet was born. What is Russia's Shadow Fleet? Imagine a shipping company that doesn't want anyone knowing what it's doing. Its ships frequently change ownership. They operate through shell companies. Many sail under foreign flags. Some disable their tracking systems. Others conduct secret ship-to-ship transfers in international waters. This is essentially how the Shadow Fleet operates. According to S&P Global Research, approximately 940 Shadow Fleet vessels were identified by 2025, representing about 17% of the global tanker fleet. Other intelligence estimates are even higher. Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service reported that Russia's Shadow Fleet had grown to more than 1,100 tankers by late 2025. Think about that. More than 1,000 ships operate in a gray zone of global trade. That's not a fleet. That's an armada. The most important number, 60%. Here's the statistic that shocked energy analysts. According to Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate, Russia transported more than 60% of its seaborne oil exports using Shadow Fleet vessels in 2024. Even more remarkable, 78% of Russian crude oil exports were moved by these ships. 37% of petroleum product exports were moved by these ships. Total seaborne oil exports exceeded 80 billion. That means the majority of Russia's maritime oil trade now depends on this hidden shipping network. Without it, Russia would face a much harder time selling oil globally. Why they're called ghost ships? Here's where things get fascinating. Many Shadow Fleet vessels use tactics that resemble something from a spy movie. Investigators have found vessels that turn off AI's tracking systems, change names repeatedly, switch flags between countries, use shell companies as owners, conduct secret ship-to-ship oil transfers. When a tanker disappears from tracking systems and reappears somewhere else loaded with oil, it becomes extremely difficult to determine exactly where the cargo originated. This allows sanctioned oil to blend into global markets. The result? Russian oil continues flowing despite restrictions. The fleet is made up of aging tankers. One of the biggest risks is the age of these ships. According to S&P Global, many Shadow Fleet vessels are more than 18 years old, significantly older than much of the mainstream tanker fleet. Some estimates suggest the average age is around 20 years. Why buy old ships? Because they're cheap. Owners can purchase aging tankers that major shipping companies no longer want. These vessels are then used to transport sanctioned oil. But there's a downside. Older ships generally mean higher accident risk, more maintenance problems, greater environmental danger, increased insurance concerns. Many maritime experts worry that a major spill involving a Shadow Fleet tanker is only a matter of time. How big is this operation? The numbers are staggering. Research cited by S&P Global found more than 3 154 individual ships had participated in transporting Russian oil since sanctions began. Another estimate suggests the broader shadow fleet used by Russia, Iran, and Venezuela has grown to nearly 1,000 tankers, representing approximately 18.5% of the world's oil tanker capacity. In 2025 alone, some analysts estimated shadow fleet vessels transported 3.7 billion barrels of oil, accounting for roughly 6 to 7% of global crude flows. These aren't small operations. They're reshaping global energy logistics. The secret ship-to-ship transfers, one of the fleet's most important tricks, happens far from land. Instead of unloading oil directly at a port, tankers meet at sea. Oil is transferred from one vessel to another. The cargo's trail becomes harder to follow. The final buyer may not even receive oil from the original ship. This tactic creates layers of separation between Russian producers and global customers. It's one reason enforcement agencies struggle to track every shipment. Investigators describe this process as one of the key methods used to bypass sanctions. Who buys the oil? Even under sanctions, global demand for energy remains enormous. Countries still need fuel for transportation, manufacturing, electricity generation, economic growth. As a result, Russian oil continues finding buyers. Much of it flows toward Asia. China and India became particularly important customers after Western restrictions reduced access to European markets. This shift forced Russian oil to travel much longer distances than before, and that's where the shadow fleet became essential. Without thousands of extra voyages, Russia would struggle to move such huge volumes. Why governments are panicking? Western governments understand what's happening. That's why sanctions increasingly target the fleet itself. The European Union has aggressively expanded restrictions. In December 2025, the EU added 41 additional shadow fleet vessels to sanctions lists, bringing the total number of sanctioned vessels to nearly 600 ships. Canada recently announced new sanctions targeting Russia's shadow fleet and the companies helping facilitate oil exports. The goal is simple: make operating these ships increasingly difficult and expensive. But the fleet continues adapting. The dangerous cat-and-mouse game. Authorities have begun intercepting vessels more aggressively. In June 2026, British authorities seized a tanker carrying approximately 98,000 tons of oil after it entered UK waters in violation of sanctions regulations. The cases like this send a message, but they also reveal a challenge. Even if dozens of ships are sanctioned or seized, hundreds more remain active. It's a giant cat-and-mouse game stretching across oceans, and every successful shipment means more money flowing into Russia's economy. Why the shadow fleet matters so much here? Here's the reality. Russia's economy depends heavily on energy exports. Oil revenues generate tens of billions of dollars annually. According to Ukraine's intelligence estimates, Russia's seaborne oil exports alone exceeded $80 billion in value. That's why the shadow fleet matters. It's not just a collection of ships, it's an economic lifeline. Without these vessels, sanctions would likely have a much greater impact on Russian export earnings. In many ways, the fleet has become one of the most important pieces of Russia's sanctions evasion strategy. The bigger question, the most surprising part of the story, isn't that Russia created a shadow fleet, it's how quickly it grew. Within just a few years, hundreds of aging tankers were assembled into one of the largest unofficial shipping networks on Earth. And despite increasing sanctions, the fleet continues operating. The question now is whether governments can stop it before it grows even larger. Because as long as these ghost ships keep sailing, billions of dollars in Russian oil revenue will keep flowing across the world's oceans. So what do you think? Can Western sanctions eventually shut down Russia's shadow fleet? Or have Putin's ghost ships already rewritten the rules of global oil trading? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch our videos to discover the hidden projects, secret technologies, secret military programs, and untold stories shaping our world.